Excited to be talking with my friend. It's been a little bit for Wilson's World Homeschool, Zach the historian. Hey, good morning, Zach.
Morning, Wilson. How are you?
Doing great, getting the week going with you today. Always great with Zach, the bow tie wearing historian, ladies and gentlemen. All kinds of fun stuff going on. Well, and today's kind of a good day to have you on. It is, we kind of got to go in line. Women's History Month, Women's History Week. We're going to get into all that a little bit later on. What are we talking about now?
Yeah, so for the month of March, let's discuss influential women in Carolina history. And today I want to talk about Virginia Dare, the first English child born in America. Now, I want to point out she's not the first American child born. There were countless Native American children born long before Virginia Dare, but she's the first English child. She was the first woman born, English woman born, and she has a neat North Carolina connection.
It really does. This is a big North Carolina story. You ready to do the Sherry Screeney thing?
Let's do it. So Virginia Dare was born to Eleanor White and Ananus Dare on August 18th, 1587 in the English colony of Roanoke, North Carolina. Virginia's mother, Eleanor, was the daughter of John White, the new governor of Roanoke. On August 27th, just 9 days after his granddaughter's birth, Governor White returned to England for supplies, but planned to return to Roanoke as soon as possible. Unfortunately, White was delayed for 3 whole years. He finally returned to North Carolina on August 18, 1590, Virginia Dare's 3rd birthday. To White's dismay, he discovered that the entire colony had been abandoned. The only clue left at the scene, letters C-R-O carved in a nearby tree, and the word Croatoan carved in a post in Roanoke's palisade. It is widely believed that this mysterious message indicated that the inhabitants of Roanoke left to live with the friendly Croatoan Native Americans that lived in the coastal areas of North Carolina. The fate of Virginia Dare and the lost colony of Roanoke has captured the imagination of Americans for hundreds of years. Legend has grown to explain Virginia Dare's disappearance. The most enduring legend was written by Sally Southall Cotton in 1901. It is a long narrative poem entitled The White Doe, The Fate of Virginia Dare. In this poem, Cotton suggests that Dare lived among the Native Americans and grew to become a very beautiful young woman. However, an evil spell was cast upon her and she was turned into a beautiful white doe. To this day, people report seeing this mysterious white doe near the site of the lost colony of Roanoke in North Carolina.
Wow, Zach, again, a great story there. Just so many, the lost colony and so many things kind of growing up here in the Carolinas, going out to the beach and seeing that. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this as well. It's Zach, the bow tie wearing historian. Stay tuned. Wilson's World Homeschool, WCCB Charlotte. We'll be back. Thanks for tuning in to WCCB Charlotte News Rising all day today. We've been telling you just some really great stories about women, and that continues right now. All this month, we're going to be talking with Zach, the historian, about women in the Carolinas throughout history. March is Women's History Month, and, Zach's going to tell us more about that. Hey, good morning, Zach.
Hey, good morning, Wilson.
We were talking earlier, the Lost Colony. I just remember seeing so much of that, and the stage show out on the coast and all that kind of good stuff. Here's the thing, though. It's March the 8th. It's Women's History Month, but today's Women's History Day, and I'm a little confused. What's going on with all this?
Yeah, sure. So let's talk a little bit about the origins of Women's History Month, right? So Women's History Month kind of grew out of a week-long celebration that was organized by school children in the school district of Sonoma, California in 1978. And then gradually over the next couple years, this idea of having an entire week dedicated to celebrating women's contributions to history, that kind of spread throughout the United States. And other small communities began doing it. In 1980, President Jimmy Carter proclaimed that March 8th would be the beginning of a nationally recognized Women's History Week. So March 8th was initially the beginning of Women's History Week. But then a couple years later, the National Women's History Project, they petitioned the United States Congress to expand that week into the entire month of March. Now, it's important to point out that there are other women's history celebrations that were occurring prior to the celebration in Sonoma, California. In 1911, there was an International Women's History Day that began to be celebrated annually. And in 1975, the United Nations got in on the act, and they proclaimed an International Women's History Day as well.
Wow. Well, there you go. I think you're straightening that up for me. I got it. I remember Cardi. Well, there's a lot going on, but it's all about this month. We're going to be talking about just great women in the Carolinas and that history, and we're going to be celebrating that. And that's kind of what Zach is good at with his bow tie and the history and all that kind of good stuff. We're going to have more about this linked up for you, WCCBCharlotte.com. This is going to be a pretty good month because there's a lot of different stories, a lot of good characters, and, well, a lot of it we're going to learn more about because some of this stuff isn't in the history book, Zach. You're killing me.
That's right, Wilson. Hey, I'm excited to talk about women this month.
Great stuff. And Zach, the bow tie wearing historian. We got more coming up. WCCB Charlotte, Wilson's World Homeschool. We'll be back.